Hi, it's Panda Movies here. Today I'm going to explain the horror movie called Dead End. Warning, there are spoilers ahead. Enjoy the video. On Christmas Eve, while traveling with his family, Frank Harrington chooses a more direct route through a remote area. His wife Laura, son Richard, daughter Marion, and Marion's boyfriend Brad ride along with him in the vehicle. Frank becomes sleepy as a result of the exhaustion from the late-night drive. But his family's piercing screams awaken him and warn him of an approaching car. Frank takes a moment to check their own vehicle after deftly avoiding a potential collision before continuing on their journey. Frank casually replies that they were bored and wanted to change when Laura questions why they didn't take the usual route to her mother-in-law's house. His response baffles Laura. The siblings are arguing when Frank suddenly stops the car and claims to have seen a young woman in white among the nearby forest. The family is startled when a woman carrying a baby appears at Frank's window. Marion offers to walk with the woman because she can tell she is in trouble and wants to go to a nearby house to get help. The woman gets into the car without saying anything and ignores the family's questions. When they arrive at a simple wooden cabin, Laura and Frank enter it, but Brad stays in the car with the woman and the child. Richard, in the meantime, pauses for a moment to spend some time by himself. He strikes up a conversation with a passing woman and shares his plans to propose to Marion as she walks down the street, thinking about how to bring up the subject of ending her relationship with Brad. Brad is shocked when the woman tells him the name of her baby as she hands him custody. Brad is perplexed as to how the baby can breathe with swaddling blankets covering its face. The woman says the baby is dead, which only makes him more perplexed. Brad, who is in a state of complete shock, carefully takes off the blankets, expecting to see the child's lifeless body. After hearing Brad's terrifying scream, Richard returns right away and rejoins the group by the car. They are left in a state of uncertainty as Brad and the enigmatic woman vanish into thin air, their minds clouded with confusion. However, the somber sight of a funeral hearse gracefully navigating the road abruptly grabs their attention. Marion is attracted to the mysterious vehicle by Brad's cries for help that resound through the air. Because of her unwavering resolve, Marion flees the scene, starting her family's relentless pursuit of the hearse and ushering in a new chapter in their perilous journey. As they move forward, the car receives an unexpected shock that forces Frank to stop the car suddenly. Laura tries to call the police on Brad's cell phone, but Marion is rendered helpless by the horrifying sight of Brad's disfigured body. The tension is increased by the fact that the person on the other end of the line is a distressed woman who is calling for assistance. The tension in the family is exacerbated by Laura's decision to keep this disturbing information secret. Conflicts intensify as Frank's leadership is questioned, fueled by his admission that he detests visiting Laura's relatives. In the midst of the confusion, they hit another baby carriage that is blocking the path, which causes a brief stop. The tension is further heightened by Richard's staged attempt to terrify his parents. The hearse that previously provided a hint as to Richard's fate reappears, however, and forces them to detour once more. When they finally see Richard's dead body, the horrifying truth shocks and devastates their frail psyches. A haunting shadow is cast over their journey by Laura, who is perilously close to going insane. They pass a sign that reads Marcotte as they drive, with Marion sitting in the front seat next to her father. Since this route is not shown on conventional maps, Frank concludes that it must be a covert military route. When Laura senses the need to stop, she pulls over, revealing a shotgun that she had just unwrapped as a gift for a family member, and unintentionally shoots Frank in the leg. They reluctantly began their return trip after tending to his wound. However, as they travel further into the woods, Laura exhibits an enigmatic change in attitude when she claims to have seen the face of a friend who has been dead for 20 years. Frank is momentarily rendered speechless as Laura abruptly exits the moving vehicle after pleading with him to let her visit her deceased acquaintance. Frank keeps looking for Laura and eventually finds himself back with the mysterious hearse. Laura shows up again, revealing through her disheveled appearance and rambling speech the tragic fact that she had been fatally hit in the head by Frank's accidental shotgun blast. Frank and Marion gently place Laura's body in the back seat of the car after she collapses to the ground and drives away. Frank and Marion return to the ranger station they had previously visited in the dark, their recent encounter haunting them. Frank suddenly strikes out, and Marion is knocked out by a powerful blow. This spontaneous outburst is a sign of a worrying change in Frank's mental state. He grips the shotgun tightly and runs after the ethereal woman in white, propelled by an inexplicable urge. Fear and desperation drive Frank's agonized screams, which pierce the night as he relentlessly fires the weapon. However, the dark, foreboding shadows that he is surrounded by quickly foil his efforts. As she awakens from her sleep, Marion regains consciousness. The driver then takes over and accelerates the car. However, when the fuel runs out, their progress abruptly stops, leaving them stranded in the middle of the lonely road. As she drives past body bags lining the road that contain the mortal remains of her deceased relatives, Marion's face is smeared with tears. As the hearse glides into view and the eerie presence of the woman in white follows, she is overcome with grief and realizes she is all by herself. Before disappearing into the night and leaving Marion alone in the eerie embrace of her deceased family, the woman gives the terrified Marion a chilling warning and assures her that the hearse is not for her. Suddenly, Marion, who is heavily bandaged, awakens in the hospital. Marion is informed by the doctor that, despite the fact that she is in a coma, both she and the infant will be fine. A man who claims to have found the family since the collision approaches the doctor and patient as they leave the hospital. As the car is prevented from being in an accident, the doctor then continues to talk about the incident. According to the man, Marion was the only member of the family who survived the collision. The other victims included a young mother and her infant, who were traveling in the other car. He asks the doctor what her name is, and she responds, "My name is Dr. Marcotte." The viewer gets the impression that Marion dreamed while she was unconscious about how her family had died, and that her dream told her she would survive because the hearse wasn't coming to get her. The man who discovered the family offers the doctor a ride in the identical hearse from Marion's dream as she tries to leave but is unable to start her car. Two workers are seen removing crash debris as the credits start to roll. Further proof that the events the family had experienced were real is found in a note Frank had previously written with Marion in the car before their final stop.